So Coach, I'll start. Eric Duquette, NHTI Baseball. I was the head coach from 2008 until 2013, I believe. Before that, I was an assistant coach for this man, Coach Neal, from, it was either 2004, I think 2003 or 2004, until I became head coach when you left in 2007. So, Coach?
Well, I'm Neal. I was head coach from 99 to 2007, or 98 to 2007. And then Duke became an assistant coach with me around 2003 or 4. And things just got real good from that point on. I'm originally from New York. You can hear the accent, I hope not. So I come up here in 96 or 7. I moved up here with a bit of an attitude, thinking that I came from the land of baseball. I would be Yankees, and no one knows more than us. And then I met Duke, and I've never been so impressed with a coach in my life than I have been with Duke. He brought things to the table I wouldn't have thought of. I was old then, I'm even older now, so I'm old class, old school. Duke brought things to the table with these kids as far as practicing and drills that just added a whole new dimension to this game and made it more interesting, and the kids identified exactly what he was doing. Plus, before he coached here, he coached up at Pittsfield, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And unless I'm wrong, Pittsfield it was not a dynasty in baseball before you got there. And you got there and turned that whole program around. Didn't you win a state championship a couple of times?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not an easy thing to do, especially on the high school level. That's what he did. That's what he brought to that. He brought a program from nothing to state champions. And that's the guy that eventually we got here as an assistant coach and then eventually head coach. He is a baseball man through and through. There's nothing he doesn't know in terms of his coaching, his chemistry with the other kids, the ball players. It's just magic to watch. Great sense of humor. I've never seen him get really mad ever. It was just an honor and a pleasure to work.
Yeah, Coach, you're being too kind, and the truth is, Coach had a great program here already when I got here. Had the groundwork laid. Tom, excellent with pitchers. Former pitcher himself, would get out there and throw BP and love to snap off his 58-foot curveball as much as possible to try to get guys to chase it. But whenever he needed to, he could throw that sharp one. And we had a really good give and take. I think some of the things that Tom needed me to do were maybe some of my strengths. And between the two of us, I don't think there was much we missed on a baseball field, and that may sound arrogant, but I think that's fact. And then, fast forward another year or two, we added, Ben the Animal Forbes to our staff, and he's another high school state championship coach. And between the three of us, I can tell you we didn't miss anything. That I'm confident about. And I think we had a staff that rivaled any college program in New Hampshire at the time, no matter what division. Especially UNH, which didn't have a program, but it's a shame that state Bell Cow University doesn't have a baseball program.
Yes,
but I learned a lot too about the college game. Recruiting was new to me, being a high school coach. Tom had kind of laid the groundwork for that and let me jump in and help with that. And he had a nice class that was coming in. I think we won it on in 2005. I'm not great with years. Is that John Sandlin?
Sandlin, yes.
Sandlin, yeah, he was a stud. Yeah. But the rest of that team was grinders. We had the kid from Manchester West, the third baseman, that hit the ball a mile.
Yeah.
We had a few good players, but the rest of that team was just grinders. And we had the big dog on the mound, but we really. We kind of patched that team together and got the most out of them.
Yes, we did.
That was a lot of fun. I mean, that was, as far as being here, the 2009 team was the best team I've ever had. That's when we went to the World Series. But the 2005 team was probably the most fun coach we ever had because we did it all in a group, and it really took everybody by surprise because, and I know I'm, going on and on, but Southern Maine was a powerhouse,
Yes.
and they were kind of Bogart in the championships, and it was really nice to beat up on those guys.
Yes, absolutely. And it got to the point where the other teams in our conference were saving their best pitches for us. We were the team to beat. They felt that they beat us, it was like an Army-Navy game. Their season was complete if they could beat NHDI. And they didn't do that too often. We managed to take the upper hand there, but it was great. I was here from '98 till 2007, and I said this to some people, the best years of my life were right here, in this place, coaching these kids. I will never forget it. It was just the best years of my life. Before Duke got here, more so after Duke got here, and with Ben Forbes from Bow High School, it was just magic. And when people say, what do you remember about coaching? The wins and losses, you remember them, but it's really not the things that come to mind right away. And it just amazes me, to this day, the impact that a coach can have on a kid. To this day, it's 2021. This year, we will meet again, we being the guys I played ball with in college, we will meet again in a restaurant on Long Island and with our college coach when we played for him for 1968, 69, and 70. He's 94 years old. He shows up every year, and the guys who can make it, and they fly in from all over the country, and we have a dinner with Coach Jack Kaiser, a nationally known great coach.
Good stuff.
Oh, God, you can't, and when you think about the number of hours that you spend with a coach over the entire school year, it's not that much. They only see us in this school, only during the spring. We didn't have fall back when I was here. At St. John's, we had fall, we had spring, but, you spend much more time with your professors and schools, and the time that we get to be with these kids is much different than times that you see them in the classroom. We see them during the best and the worst of times.
And you know that as an educator.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've seen them on the baseball field, and a different attitude, effort, enthusiasm compared to the classroom. You've seen the same kids, during the day that you do out on, at 4:30 on the baseball field. It's completely different.
Absolutely, and crunch time, and it teaches them how to be one of a team. It's a team of individuals, and it's so unique, and it's magic how we're expected to work with these kids, and I wouldn't change a thing, in the best and worst of times. When they fail, and the beauty about baseball is that this is a game where most of the time you fail.
Absolutely.
You bat 400, you're in the Hall of Fame, but you failed 6 times out of 10. So it's a challenge, and so we see kids when they fail, and we see kids when they succeed, and it's experiences and instances and situations have come up that I will never ever forget.
And it really does. It lays the groundwork for how they're going to be later on in life.
Absolutely.
The best baseball players are the ones that are really willing to work on their craft, accept coaching, try to get better, and if they take that same approach in life after high school, after college, those are the people that do the best in life. I mean, that's just the way it is, and that's sports in general, not just baseball, in my opinion. That's why I think sports is, teamwork, teaching you how to work with others is so important. And it is the memories too. Like, one of my favorite memories is the weekend trips to Maine. You go to Southern Maine and you play a doubleheader on a Saturday, and then you stay in a Roach Motel on a Saturday night and play Central Maine on a Sunday, and then you drive 4 hours back, in a van, with guys that smell horrendous. It doesn't sound like a great memory that people, but I can tell you, in 2006 we went 3-1 on that trip, and we had a drop fly ball on right field that we should have been, I can remember all that stuff, every detail, and probably the pitch that was called that I made a mistake on, and it's amazing as a coach, you remember every failure far more than every success, and that goes for the play, for the players, and what could I have done better to get the kid more prepared, and the decisions you make in game, and you've had great success here. But I'm sure you remember the one that got away more than the championship in 2005. Just the way we're wired.
Yeah, that's so true. I have these flashbacks occasionally when I think of my years here, and we had the Heath brothers, Chris Heath and Mike Heath. Chris was older. He was with us when we won our first championship. Great kid, worked hard, and his younger brother Mike came up with us 2 years later, I think it was.
Yep.
And when Mike was here his first year, we were in the championship game, and Mike was up. It's the bottom of the seventh. We got a guy on second and third, I think it was. If Mike gets a base hit, these 2 runs score, we win. And he grounded out. And it was heartbreaking, but I'll never forget looking at first base, and there's Mike kneeling down on the first base line with his head in his hands. He was so crushed because he just didn't come through, and it just killed him. And I'm sure he was bugged by his older brother, Chris, as brothers will do. I have 2 younger brothers, where he's constantly reminded, you know, when we were there, Chris, we won. How are you doing, Mike? So he had to put up with that. But then the next year, we get back into the finals. It's the bottom of the seventh. Mike is on third base. He's a runner. And Ben calls a suicide squeeze, which I will be honest with you, scared the heck out of me because the guy up at the plate, I didn't know if he could bunt that well. And he laid down a perfect bunt. Mike had already broke right. He scored easily. We won the game. And I can't tell you how great it was to see Mike's face just beaming after his memory of the year before. He became the winning run that year. And that's just, you can't put a price on that.
No. And those are the things you remember most of all as a coach. You know, it really is important to us,
Yeah.
because we put the time into these kids and they put the time back
Yeah.
with their effort and you know, their enthusiasm.
And you know, we were a community college, so these kids were aware of where they fit in. You know, they're not D1, they're not in high school anymore. They wanted them to feel good about themselves in the world in which we operate. We're a community college. Let's be the best community college ball team we can in our conference. Let's not get crazy or delusional. But so the goal was to be the best we could be. But we had, on occasion, we had some kids playing with us that could have easily continued on and played D2, D3.
Well, I don't want to mention any names, Coach, but there was some Division III schools that used to play us in the fall, the
Yeah.
smaller, and we used to beat up on them pretty regularly.
That's right.
You know, I don't want to make anybody upset, but you know, we did pretty well against the smaller Division III New Hampshire schools.
Exactly. And I remember going up to school over in Manchester, private school with a fantastic program, and we were playing them, I guess it was as a non-league game, and they were willing to share some time with us. And as we arrived, you could hear the nagging or the talk that you get from the other side on the dugout, which is perfectly fine, nothing inappropriate. But they were not taking us serious at all. You know, they're a good program over there. And so we get up, and they're razzing us, and our guy, the third batter we get up, hits one out of the park. First inning, top of the first, he hits one out of the park. It wasn't cheap, it cleared the fence by 50 feet. And you could hear a pin drop as he ran around those bases. And from that point on, they took us serious. They knew they had a game on there. And that moment was magic.
Yeah.
There was another moment, I don't know if I talk too much, shut me up.
No, you're great.
We're up north playing Lynx region, community college. Now, we're expected to beat them fine. But it's not an easy game. It's a close score game. They have a guy on second base. Our right fielder was a fellow named Hilliker.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yeah.
He was from up north, Tilton area, I think he was from. He had an absolute cannon going on. I remember asking, what is he doing here? The kid should be playing D1 someplace. So just imagine this. There's a guy on second base. This kid hits the ball to Mike. He's 250 feet, at least 250 feet out in right field. By the time the ball gets to him, the runner on second, because it was 2 outs, so he broke early, he was rounding third. Now this runner, he's got 80 feet to run. He's got 80 feet, that's it. He's got the ball in his hand, and he's 250 feet away from the plate. He threw the ball home, and he not only was it not a close play, but our catcher stood up, got the ball, and had to wait for the run to arrive. He beat him by 10 feet. And the most magic moment was, everyone on our team knew what was about to happen.
Right.
Because we knew the cannon that he had, right? And sure enough, I'm in the dugout, and one of our guys is sitting next to me, and as he picks up the ball, the player hits me on the shoulder and says, "Watch this." Watch this. Magical words. Boom, 10 feet. And it was just, one of those moments.
But what nobody sees is us working with a kid on his pro hop,
Yes.
making sure he has the proper footwork,
That's
right. Coming up, finding the target,
That's right.
throwing the ball through. Nobody sees that stuff behind the scenes.
That's true.
And then, but the God-given talent of the kid.
Oh.
But going back to the competition, I think the 2008 team, that was a difference maker for me. In the second half of my career at NHCI, that recruiting class, with Luke Merrill, Kevin Lee, Chad Crockett, Keith Trombley, rest in peace. A few other guys, like Crescini, Brian Finney, I can't think of. Like, when I recruited after that and brought kids to watch our practices, they're like, holy cow, these guys can play.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when you brought kids, it was like, all right, I might be better than that kid, but I might not. And, that team was good. And that's the year we went to the World Series for the first time and only time in school history. And but that team really laid the groundwork for me for the following years. I was lucky enough to get a good group that actually cared about school.
Yeah.
They were here for 2 years. They all got their degrees. And as you know, that was a key. If you want to have good teams, you need kids that are going to be here for 2 years.
Yeah.
So you could coach them for 2 years, you could get them better for 2 years.
Yes.
And the second year of a good recruiting class, that was like money in the bank.
Yeah, because every so many years we lose a couple.
Always, yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah, and then sometimes it was grades, but other times there were good players that transferred to bigger schools. And, we're always there's always a lot of turnover, so you had to be flexible with how you did things, and it's different probably than some of the other schools, like you said, because of 2-year community college.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it. It was
Oh no,
it was awesome.
It was magic, It was magic, and the word had gotten out. The first year I was coaching, '98, I think it was. We had 9 kids on the team, 9. So there was nobody on the bench. When we took the field, it was an empty dugout. We had 9 guys, and we only had maybe 9 or 10 kids come out. But we didn't get to the playoffs that year, but we did okay. And somehow word gets around. Students talk. The baseball team is not looking all right. The second year we had like 25 kids come out. Third year, 40 kids. By the time 2007 rolls around, that last year, we must have had 70, 80 kids come out.
I had a list of 65 kids. I was looking at my list today that I had 65 kids.
65 kids. We only had 23 uniforms. And that was an indication that word had gotten out that, hey, this baseball team's not all that bad. They're pretty good. Yeah, it was.
Hey, didn't something else happen in 2004 that was in baseball that was important?
Oh my God! Yes, 2004, which was one of the best things that happened to baseball. That's coming from the Yankee guy. But yes, and that was also one of those magic times because I was a Yankee fan, so I would occasionally remind the guys and threaten them at the beginning of each season that we're going to have our uniforms changed. And I would bring an old Yankee jersey with me and I'd say, this is what our new uniform's going to look like, and it'd be pinstripes. And they would all be shocked, thinking, we're not putting that on. Of course, we didn't do that. But that year, 2004, the playoffs, Yankees, Red Sox, and we're up 3-1, and you guys took 3 games from us, and it was magic. It was the best thing that happened.
I appreciate you refreshing my memory on that.
Oh, yes, you have to be reminded.
This is what it was like. Tom and I, we text once in a while, but whenever we talk in person, we pick right up where we left off. It was an absolute honor for me to coach with Tom, and I actually became an assistant here because I started taking classes here. And I think someone went to Tom and said, hey, you got a guy that's a pretty good high school coach that's taking classes here, as a full-time student. And I can't remember whether it was you or Paul, but one of you said, hey, what are you doing? Why don't you jump on board and give us a hand?
Absolutely.
And it worked out where I was just getting done at Pittsfield. And so the timing was perfect for me.
It was perfect.
Actually, I think I still was at Pittsfield for the first year or two when I was helping you.
Yeah, you may have been, because
the spring was tough for me.
You had to come over there to talk to the pitchers once.
Yes. Yeah, that was great.
Right.
You came over and did a little clinic for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you coming here freed me up to work more with the pitchers.
Right.
Because that's my thing.
Yeah.
The pitchers. So that, and you know, enabling you to just turn the rest of it over to you, and you handle everything, defense, offense,
I like that.
situations, drills, everything. I'll take the pictures, you take everything else. That worked out fine, the chemistry was perfect.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the, you know, the results were good, and I don't just mean on the field. The results were good as far as we had kids that we kept involved, and we probably had kids that stayed in school longer because they like baseball. I think the whole thing was a success for us. I really do. So.
And some of the biggest challenges of coaching at the college level is that, especially here, we didn't have them all that long. You know, we have spring baseball. We're starting in March or April if we're lucky, if there's no snow on the field. And the season ended by May. They were taking exams. We had them, what, 5 weeks? That's it.
Yeah.
So when a kid comes here and decides to play baseball, we're getting him as he exists at that point, given all the years of experience that he brings to the table at that point. So I've always said that the most important coaches that a young athlete can ever have, especially in baseball, are the coaches he had when he was 9, 10, and 11 years, and 12, and 13. Because that's when they develop their habits, either good habits or bad habits. By the time they come to us, they're 17, 18, 19 years, they already have either good habits or bad habits that they picked up when they were 10 and 11.
That was the biggest mistake I made coming here, Tom. The first year I was here, we had a kid, I can't remember his name, but I was helping him at the plate, and he hit everything he hit was rockets, but his swing was gross. And I'm like, I can't watch this kid swing like this anymore. And so I said, I have to change his swing. He's just swinging terribly. And I changed his swing, he couldn't hit anything. And I completely overhauled his swing. And then from that moment, I'm like, all right, minor tweaks. Because it's such a short season, you can't make any big adjustments.
Yes.
You have to just, minor, tweaks. And then I'd be foolish to say that the success we had was in part due to Paul. Paul was a great AD for us, and mostly because he let us run our own program with guidance, but he made a lot of effort to improve our facilities.
Oh, yeah.
The field was not good here. He improved the dugouts, got us a turtle, did a lot of work to the fields, the new fence, the backdrop, continually adding and improving the facilities. It made it a little more enticing to draw kids.
Yes.
So, it's all part of it. You have to have the curriculum, you have to have the right coaches, and the facilities help too. So, I think it was all. I think we hit it at a really good time where everybody wanted to make the program better.
Yep.
And we're all striving for the same goal, and I feel like we did a pretty good job. We could always do better, but
so, yeah.
we would have been happy if we won every year.
Yes.
When we should have.
Yes. Of course, somebody coming from the Yankees world, that's what you expect.
Yeah. Well, I deserve that after the 2004 comment. All right, I'll take that.
And I got phone calls that night that I can't even repeat. The kids said, wherever they were having a blast.
Yeah.
The Red Sox just beat the Yankees. And, hey, Coach, how are the Yankees now? And